Hello and welcome back to another episode of Supercoach Insider. My name is Ben.
And I'm Chris.
And I'm Swizz.
And thank you for joining us. It is another edition. Chris is back. He's going to be taking their feature show on the whole Ginnivan and Duck Duck Goose scenario. Swizz, thank you for joining us again. You are a stabled creature on this show. Also, Swizz just reminds me, shout out to splashvodka.com.au. Swizz has got one on hand. Chris is just admiring the luxury goods right here at this current point in time. Splash.com.au. Support them. They support us. Super, super delicious low-calorie treats. Speaking of sponsors, also today is brought to you by Manscaped. Manscaped is the ultimate men's, ultimate men's tool.
Below the waist grooming.
Below the waist grooming. So
You're
pretty
welcome.
much, yes. Sorry, I've got all my stuff mixed up. I've got way too much stuff going on here.
It's a downstairs mix-up, is that what you're saying?
Yeah. So support for Supercoach Insider is brought to you by Manscaped, who's the best in men's below the waist grooming. Their products are precision engineered tools for your family jewels. Manscaped's performance package is what we received first of all. It's the ultimate hygiene bundle. Over 6 million men worldwide trust in Manscaped. Still continuing this promo code SC Insider 100. You can get 20% off and free shipping. So what we received initially in our package here, guys, is we got the Lawnmower 4.0. It's got what is it? It's got a 4000K LED spotlight, so you can actually see the bits that you're sort of trying to trim up. And what do we get? A weed whacker, the crop preserver, some ball deodorant, a magic mat, so that way you can actually trim it and catch it as well. Plus also the boxes and a travel bag. So that was what they loaded up with the first time. We've seen all that on the previous videos. We might have to whack it out again for you and the products. And the other thing we've received as well just recently was the Ultra Premium Collection. So we spoke about that maybe 2 weeks ago. We got the 2-in-1 shampoo, conditioner, the body wash, the deodorant, the hydrating body spray, the lip balm that was additional, down to $69.99, was $111.95. Plus the promo code goes on top of that, including free shipping. So I'm using the Ultra Premium Collection every day at the moment, guys. I've got it upstairs. I've got the deodorant at work. How are you finding the products?
Yeah, mate, I'm smashing the deodorant and the body wash, to be honest, and the lip balm. I don't mind a good lip balm.
Well, you got a 3-pack, right? It's a bit minty.
Yeah, I've got to get through this now. The other day I got asked if I had a lip job, so I think it's working. So that's good.
Don't tell me someone asked in the toilets, mate.
And I obviously do use the plow, which is the safety razor as well. But I don't generally use it all the time. So when I'm going out, so my shaver, I've got an electric shaver, only goes so close, right? So that's the thing with electric shavers, is that you can never get really a close shave. Hello. But after that, I'll then go over it with the safety razor, and then it's like perfect. So it's really, really nice. I think it's actually really well weighted too.
Go to bed, Charlotte.
Hey.
Yeah, Charlotte, go to bed.
Classic.
And Charlotte, if you're listening, you heard the lady. It's past your bedtime. Get to fucking bed. All right.
Anyway, so yeah, loving it. What about you, Swizz?
Yeah, mate. No, the products are great, as you said, especially the the body wash and shampoo, conditioner set up there. So yeah, mate, I recommend them all. I know a few of the boys have told me that they've purchased that, and I'm hoping a few of the Parkfield boys get in and should make it. Celebrations in our showers after wins this year could be interesting.
Well, here's the thing:
wow.
the performance package 4.0, right? You kind of like, I use the deodorant and the toner sort of a little bit more frequently than the Clippers, because the Clippers is sort of a here and there sort of thing as needed, right? Whereas the Ultra Premium Collection, I'm kind of using that daily at the moment, which is probably why I'm sort of talking about it a little more, because I'm actually getting general use out of it every day. So, yeah, so if you need to, SC Insider 100, that's the code. Go to manscaped.com, 20% off and shipping. Stuart Davidson, that's for you. I got to send you the link. I was talking about it. He goes, give me a link. And I said, mate, it's all over our fucking social media. So why don't you just look it up, or actually watch and tune in like you should be. And that's us for our promos, guys. Now, speaking of socials, SC Insider 100, you can find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Twitch. You know where to get us. You know we're everywhere. YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, you name it, SC Insider 100. Find us, get amongst it. Now, Chris, landing this plane quickly, this is your time to shine, because every time, I told everyone last week, on the Swizz and Ben show, the BNS show, the bullshit show, that every time you talk about Ginnivan, I just put up a little "I'll allow it" gif, and I keep peppering it with you. I put it in a group chat. I
feel
followed
like
up
it's
on
like
Twitter.
the jelly gif from last year.
It kind of is, because you always rant, and it's kind of like to the wrong person, because I am not a fan. So I'm like, I'll allow it. So he got his head ripped off. I'll allow it. Your turn to shine, Chris. Why are you so upset?
Look, it's still the same thing. Like, if that's anybody else that's got tackled there, that's a free kick any day of the week. So the problem that I find is that obviously, and I'm not saying that he doesn't necessarily play for free kicks at times, and that's part of his action, his natural action that he does. My issue is the fact that at no point, especially specifically with this one, at no point did Redmond adjust his tackle technique. He went higher from the get-go. So that's the problem. If you're already going high, then where's the win? There's at some point there has to be a onus on the actual tackler to make an effective tackle. So if they were going to go high regardless, and yeah, he's getting hit, like that's what first contact, like on the neck head, like not even shoulder or bicep. I get, like, you hit the shoulder or bicep, and then and he goes up, and then that wraps around. Like 100%, that's not a free kick in my opinion. But if the swinging arm comes in and collects him over the top, I don't know how you can defend that. It doesn't make any sense to me, because it was going to be high regardless of what he did. Does that make sense?
Can I?
I'll reply to that.
Oh, can I reply first, Wiz? Because
Benny boy.
I've been writing notes as he was talking,
Yeah.
as a true debater. Now, Chris, you say natural action. Wrong. It's a trained fucking action.
Yeah, but it's
not natural. Now it is. It's
Exactly
autonomous
right.
because he's a piece of shit. That's why it's autonomous. Right. That is why it's autonomous, because he kept getting rewarded. It's like he comes 5th place on every single race and keeps getting a medal, so he keeps fucking running. He's shit.
Hey,
right?
It's like his
rebuttal.
on repeat.
I'm sorry. Where's the adjudicator? Can you please control this witness? Now, the second part, right? So now the AFL's already cleared. That first contact they said wasn't a free kick. However, Redmond kind of gave
Which
it.
is bullshit.
I agree that it was a free kick because of the extra after. He kind of already had him high, so he goes, "Hey, you know what? I'm going to drag you back over.
Yeah.
I'm going to drag you back over me by your neck," and that was a free kick to me. Now, I do agree, right? So probably could have been played a free kick, but when you're looking at the umpires, they see, yes, I know if you step and you try and evade. I don't think he really tried to evade. I think he just tried to get low. Got high. He also lifted his arm at the exact same time. So whether the arm actually contributed to it, I think Redmond already had him probably high, but the umpire sees, right, Ginnivan lift his arm and drop his hips.
Well, if you see on that for the first time, like usually, like if again, this is all slow motion because bullshit. Like, so this is part of my argument, by the way, is that in slow motion you can kind of go, oh yeah, he kind of dropped his knees, but at full speed you can't see that. And I would love to know what I've all the replays that I've seen. I can't actually identify where the umpire is. So, like, because if he's from behind Redmond, there's no way he would have been able to see that.
They're everywhere.
Then he's just guessing, right? So if he's just guessing that he's dropped his knees because he's Jack Ginnivan, not Dylan Grimes, because obviously chalk and cheese.
Well, they did say Grimes.
Grimesy into this argument, mate.
Come on. That was an actual duck. Like, he legitimately ducked and still got the free kick. So my argument is that there's certain actions that you're allowed to do, but still get the high contact. So you're allowed to balk, which is an evasive maneuver. And if you get high contact, so a balk, to me, a lot of the time you drop your body weight to accelerate out of it. When you do that, you can get caught high and it's a free kick. But you can't do it in other situations. So the AFL have these they just pick and choose where they want to apply their rules. It's just ridiculous.
I will agree with that one, Chris, because their summary of it going, the first contact wasn't a free kick, but the second contact, because he continued the high contact, then it became a free kick. Like I don't
know if he actually did.
They fence it so much, AFL in this decision. They're like, oh, we'll have a bob each way here, and that it was either. Now I think 100% it was a free kick, and that it should have been no problems with that at all. The problem is it's the whole society view of once you're something, you're always something. Like Jennifer, once a ducker, always a duck. Well,
I absolutely agree with you.
And that's how they apply. And we look at it for anything. Like you have it like soccer players who dive. You have people who make you know,
Or
and
Joel Selwood.
you could go into like the cancel culture sort of stuff. Oh, somebody made a comment about something 10 years ago. That's that person for the rest of their life. Like, and
Yep.
that's what the people view Ginnivan, or it even buddy like cricket people, you know, walking or not walking and shit like that. So unfortunately, it's the boy that cries wolf, and he's going to cop it for all his career now.
Which I
is
agree
shit
with,
because
but as umpiring is I 100% think that is the case, by the
Yeah.
way. But the umpiring should be the only thing that is supposed to be completely neutral, right?
well,
So
it should.
I get
but it's
from the
not.
society, and it's not, because humans make mistakes.
Try watch a
You
game
don't
at the
wanna be-
Gabba.
Yeah,
Try watch a
Humans
game
have
at the
bias,
Gabba.
mate.
Not
No matter
neutral.
what, you can sit there and have the most
Never.
neutral person about something. There's always a bias.
absolutely. I completely agree with you. I suppose that's where fans get upset, in that there's no consistency,
Put your hand
because
down, Benny. Chris and I are going.
yeah, we're having a chat, mate. You can just shut your
I'm
pie
about,
hole.
I'm about to mute both of you now. Can I touch in? Seeing that we've got a nice little rivalry here, do you know the difference between Ginnivan and Grimes? One
One's
plays in a team that
one's
can
a
actually
champion,
clutch wins.
Premiership
three-time
player and-
premiership player.
One's in a team that can actually clutch wins at the moment.
Oh wow, that went the other way. I thought you were going
Wow.
to shred.
Wow.
And can I
was
also
below
say,
the belt?
can I
One's
also
not
say-
sitting 10th.
I'll count his premierships for a second, mate.
Ed, can I say if
They're all retiring, mate. Grimes better do the same as well, man.
if Reece Matheson was actually best 22 and had been for all year or even last year, he would actually be the poster boy for ducking. But
Oh,
because
absolutely.
he's a VFL player, no
Or
one really
Papley.
recognizes it.
Or basically any small forward, like Toby Green. Dude,
Well,
Luke
mate,
Shuey went on a podcast last month and literally said, "Yeah, I do it all the time. I do it intentionally. Like it's part of my tackle. When I get tackled, it takes a lot of strength to do it, but I specifically lift my shoulder so that it draws eye contact.
Mate,
And
well,
until they
Toby
change
Green?
the rules, he
I
literally
said
said this.
I said that
Yeah.
last week. Like 10 years ago, I umpired school footy and actually had the Joel Selwood rule. And that if you duck like him and that, it'd be just bang. I'd pay like a 50 against them. Like, yeah, you're playing with Joel Selwood. Like, mate, bad luck. Stop fucking
So-
ducking. Like,
So the biggest problem that I have is so let's say that's all true, and that Ginnivan's just getting targeted for whatever reason, blah blah blah. He's not the first. He won't
No.
be the last.
No.
And for whatever reason, like Joel Selwood's continued to do this for his entire career and get away with it. No one said beep.
yeah, and you know the problem
Literally
with that
nothing's
is
happened.
it's the next factor that comes in. What I was saying, once is always, and that it's the good person factor. And I don't know how that's judged, but it was like the whole Tom Stewart thing. Yes, now that was a once-off thing with Stewart, what he did. But there's this sort of perception that like, oh, that guy's a good bloke or that person's a good person, and that, well, they can get away with that. And for whatever reason in their mind, they're like, oh, Ginnivan's the blonde hair, little rascal, and that, well, we've got to fry him. Where Selwood, for example, well, he's got runs on the board and he's this good person. And, well, like, it's so
I think a
bullshit
large.
the way
Chris,
people
I'm sorry, Chris.
view
Did
it.
you have your hand up? No.
Sorry, mate.
Benny,
No,
I don't
You
give
can
a
tell
fuck
it's a
about your hand.
contentious
I've
issue.
got
You
a direct
guys,
rebuttal.
you need to shut up. You
I've got a
boys,
direct rebuttal.
I used to
Too
do,
much-
Benny, I used to
too
do debating
much-
at school. I was always our
too
third
much.
speaker. There was no fucking person responding back to me once I got going. That's why I was
Well,
lost.
mate.
Like,
So-
you can't respond to me.
I think the biggest issue of why Ginnivan has been taken so much is he's kicking goals from it. So when Joel Selwood gets a lot of free kicks, a lot of them are in midfield or whatever. Some of them definitely are in the forward 50, but it's not a all the time thing. Like he might get 4 free kicks a game, and most of them are in midfield or around the ball or whatever. He's not generally kicking goals from his kicks. Whereas Ginnivan, I think he's kicked like 28, 29 goals or something this year, and a large percentage of those have come from free
Well,
kicks.
he gets 4
So-
or 5 touches a game, so most of his touches are goals. Yeah.
Yeah,
He's gonna
right.
get dropped
But
now.
He's
He
also
can't kick
He's
his
gonna
goal.
get dropped.
He's also
Um,
hasn't missed a snap at goal all year.
Hmm.
So like his set shot goal kicking is very good, but mainly from a snap. And so regardless of where he is in the field, he's so damaging on the scoreboard. And I think that's what hurts more often than not opposition supporters. So the reason why there's big furore is because it's goals from free kicks, not necessarily just the free kick itself. So when it happens to Grimes and he's in defense, no one gives a shit.
Stop
Because
being
it's-
Grimesy in here, mate.
Because it's the most recent example of you compare it to him but not to him. Like 100%, that was not a free kick.
All right,
But-
tit for tat. Boys, we're going to move on. Number one, you're both
Actually, I was
annoying
just
me.
going to finish off that, mate.
Nah,
He's
I'm still going.
Ginnivan's lucky on that. The Pies aren't playing Richmond in the VFL this week. Dimmer would go down and give him a serve.
Give him a nice abuse. So
wow, that was context. I respect that.
we're gonna move on because you're both fucking annoying. With no one can even get a word in. It's literally like
you
talking
can't
over
get
the
a
top.
word
of
in, Benny. Nobody gives us stuff there, mate. You're the
Hey,
host, mate.
high five, buddy. Yeah, well done.
That's it.
Yeah,
Your job is to let us two just do our thing.
Yeah, in
You're
order,
not
in
the most, all
turn.
right?
All the lovely public you're hearing at the moment is two fucking chipmunks going at it over the top of each other. It's not good listening.
You spent all your airtime going on about the sponsors, bro. No one cares.
Man, no one cares. Shout out to our sponsors. Splash,
these
thanks.
things
I do
pay the
love the
Worked
fucking
for, mate. I've
bills.
worked freaking like the last 14 days or so. I've got tomorrow off. I'm fucking getting into this. This could be a
Chris,
great podcast.
Chris,
Benny's like, oh, let's do a short podcast. No fucking chance now.
Chris, how else do you think I pay for the lap dances for the big fella?
Of course.
Oh, bit of wedding crashes. Okay, now, thank you. What a lovely hot topic. Meanwhile, Jamie Elliott absolutely clutch from the boundary. I thought that was ridiculously good. Essendon couldn't
Completely
have played
undeserved win, but I'll take it.
they couldn't have played that any worse. Watching the replay and going over the analysis after the game,
It was a carbon copy of the 2018 grand final, except in reverse, where we actually won instead of lost.
We just watched it
doesn't
then
count.
because the wife just got back from school camp and she hadn't actually seen the footage. So I just put it on there so she could watch the last minute.
Just put the
And,
last
yeah.
2 minutes on.
It was how ridiculous was that? I actually heard a Scotty Pendlebury on Triple M this week, and which was I love anytime he talks, but just because his knowledge of the game is so good. And they asked him specifically, was that a set play that you had practiced in training? He said no, it wasn't set play, but before the ball's kicked, he's chatted to Darcy Moore and said, look, I'm going to kick to you, shoot up the middle, and if you see a gap on the left or the right, go that way. So, because obviously 95% of the time that's a situation, they're going, it's the long kick to the middle to try and get a contest over the back and blah, blah, blah. So Scott Pendlebury had the foresight to be like, okay, we're going to set up as if he's going to miss, and we already know where the ball's going. And he also said, and which I found fascinating, Darcy Moore's the fastest person on the team. So he said didn't matter who was on him, he was going to outrun him anyway, and so he was just going to put it in front of Darcy and say, go for your life.
Yeah, well, credit to Elliott for the mark, but what I found interesting just watching that replay a couple of times, there was at least 3 Essendon players ran towards Jones after he missed.
Yeah.
So they weren't bothered about setting up for the point. They were actually like, oh, shit, we'll get around him because he's just missed. And it's like, oh, fuck, the game's still on. Like, their lack of leadership in that moment and that role resembles us in those last minutes.
Not sure if they were getting around him. I think they probably thought it was going through, and then it hit the post, and they're like, "Oh,
well, maybe that was the case as well." But...
and then the ball's gone. Oh, we'll check the corridor.
Yeah,
the ball's not going corridor.
Leadership is having everyone set up in positions before. Like, who cares?
Yeah.
Who cares if you can celebrate with him? You celebrate with him when the game's done.
Yeah.
Or he kicks the goal, but don't.
Then you can't
before it even goes through, they're already moving towards him. Yeah. And I'll also back that up. I got on Twitter a few Essendon supporters complaining about the fact that it should have been 50 at that point, like a 35-meter out free kick directly in front with a minute to go isn't good enough. But that exact same thing happened earlier in the game and wasn't called the other way. So I think that was a little bit of a square up. Also, apparently it was so loud on the ground that no one could hear anything. Like Jamie Elliott didn't even hear the siren go. Yeah. So
you barely picked up the siren on the footage. So yeah. Like, I don't mind that. After they've made that ruling after, like, the Sydney-Richmond game where the ball was kicked, into the crowd and that. Like, there's got to be some sort of leeway there when the crowd's going nuts in those big games and those final moments because you can't hear a frigging thing.
And I think it was also a little bit contentious as to whether it was a free kick. Like, I know, obviously, he bounced the ball and didn't regather the ball. But you could probably argue...
I'd argue that, mate, because I think it was a clear free kick. But I've got no problem with that instantly. I know he picked it up and threw it, kicked it away. But at the same time, like, even 10, 15 metres away, you might have not actually just heard the whistle straight off.
Yeah.
And that's I'm happy a little bit of leeway.
What's from a Jeremy Howe perspective, like, he slipped. Yeah. It wasn't like he's thought he's gone. Yeah. He's taken off and he's slipped, and that's what's caused him to fumble and then lose possession of the ball.
The thing is, more with it, the rule is to stop the time wasting. Collingwood, like, that doesn't affect them kicking the ball away. It actually hurts them more than anything because they want that ball back in Jones's hand, taking that shot. So it doesn't change the game. Jones is having that shot. the thing is the argument where should have Jones and should have the Bombers guys like gone more defensive side and done the
Oh,
chip
absolutely, they
kick
should have.
and that and just taken time off the clock. But then they sit there and go, you don't know how long left. Well, there's so many people holding up boards and that. And I know somebody
No,
said,
they
oh,
knew.
we should bring back the 5-minute warning. Like, I'm sitting in the crowd Richmond Freo game. I've got the Foxtel coverage up so I can see how long's left. Like, they may as well just put the countdown clock up on the
I
screen
agree.
these
I
days, 'cause
actually
we all
completely
friggin'
agree with
know
you.
it anyway. I'm sick of seeing stupid friggin' signs on the sidelines, and people are like, "Oh, what's that saying?" I'm like, "Man, I've got we're all got the coverage up on
Yeah,
our phones
30,
these days."
60, their
Yeah,
little
we know
signs
what's
up.
Well,
we know
I was
what's
at
how long's
the
left.
Gold Coast Collingwood game, and I messaged Ben to be like, "Hey, man, I could get KO open, but could you tell me exactly how long's left in the game? Thanks, mate."
Yeah, and we do it
I've
as
done
well
it
too.
before at the
Sometimes
Gabba. I think
people
when
have called
McCarthy
people
won.
to go, "How long left?" Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
no,
Yeah,
and
yeah. I've done it at the Gabba before. McCarthy, when he got that mark from Geelong, and I was looking at my thing, I was like, "Oh, quick, bring up Foxtel," and then obviously it's a little bit delayed, but I'm like, from that stoppage, from
Yeah.
that, from the throw in, I'm like, "Hey, there's this long left," so then everyone's like, "How long left?" And you got like people 3 rows back, like, "How long
Yeah.
left?" They see your phone open. I'm like, "Oh, like a minute. Fuck it, let's go."
And there's fans before too. Like
hectic.
some of the fans know who are sitting in the first row, like be shouting out to the players that it's this left, or they even know. Like you see sometimes the fans like delay giving the ball back, or they're throwing it quickly and stuff. Like
Yeah.
there's an
Well, I
understanding
don't know. I
by enough
think some
people
of
to go,
Richmond players don't know, mate. They play on
"Oh,
after the siren at
fuck, man."
halftime.
The
They
only,
play on
like,
with 30 seconds left on the clock when they could have just had a
the
set shot.
frustrating thing is there, like, because you couldn't pick up the siren and that because just the noise that was being made at that stage. But Cumberland, like, yeah, I get what he was trying to do, wheel around, but he had the boot on him anyway. Like, I've seen him kick long, but from that ball in, surely the players are yelling out, "There's 10 seconds, 15 seconds." They know there's not long left. So how that
He didn't
message
know it.
doesn't get around to go, guys, game's nearly done
It is he marked it on the 50.
on the
Yeah.
50. So he's kicking from
Yeah.
50.
Yeah, exactly.
55.
But I can live with the Cumberland mistake. Young fella, he's tried to wheel around to the right thing. No problems there. The Bolter one's the unforgivable one.
Yeah, makes
Look,
sense.
Swizz, it doesn't really matter at the end of the day because even if you kicked a point, it wouldn't have changed the result.
Fucking would.
Oh,
It
wait,
still
it
doesn't
would
hurt as much
have.
as
A
the
draw.
I
The
left
first-
going,
Could have
well,
even
it's
been
2
punched
points.
through.
It's not another loss like the fucking Gold Coast game. That's still stinging.
Oh, just
Anyway,
1 point.
look, we've
Yes.
spent what?
Can we
20
move
minutes
on?
discussing
Yeah.
footy,
20
which what a
20
great
minutes.
weekend of footy outside of that.
Yeah.
I tell you what, it was a
22
good
minutes of shit talk. Now,
Last
the
month of
big
footy's
thing
gonna
out
be
of this
great.
week, Georgie Hewett, Mr. Hewett, who's 536,000 K, missed last week with a back injury. It
Fucking
came
injury.
out quite late. I think it was a Thursday. A lot of people are held because it seemed at that current point in time like it was just a 1 week injury, a bit of back soreness. Everyone's like, hey, don't worry. It's just a 1 week sort of injury. Don't stress too hard. Now, they've updated their injury list today. And just this evening, we had a look and it was all over the chatosphere. George Hewitt, now they're saying continuing to manage his back and will miss this week, is currently a week-to-week assessment to play. So that is updated today, which means that Carlton, based on their website, have ruled out Hewitt for this week.
Yeah, no, they have, and it has been confirmed. I would have traded him last week if I had any trades and didn't have cover this week. So I have Stewart come back this week. So to me, it didn't matter. I was copying the 0 anyway, and the whole point of that is to try and prolong my last trade for a season-ending trade. I don't think he's necessarily going to be season-ending. I think he's back. I thought at the time he would be
Pun.
back either this week or next week, and it's not going to be too much of a difference. But
Double pun.
when he does come back, he's had back injuries
Triple
in the
pun.
past. So,
You keep saying back.
yeah, he's a back injury. He's had back injuries in the past, and I'm just worried that yes, he comes back, but at what level? What's his role? He's obviously played inside mid pretty much all year. Does he come back and play a different role? Is he not able to perform? Is he going to start dropping more 80s and less 110s like he has been? So I'm more concerned about that than him missing another week, because to me, another week doesn't make any difference. I'm almost tempted, if Short wasn't going so badly, I'd almost be tempted to just loophole him if I had the opportunity to. So yeah, it's a worry. Would I trade him now if I had cover? I wouldn't, because
No.
I think it's probably going to be a 1 weeker. If I had trades and I didn't have cover, I'd absolutely be trading him. I don't see the point in holding on to him. I suppose if it's your last trade, which is where a lot of people sit, there's that question, right? Like, is this 1 week injury going to be it, or do I save it for another week? Because I think one more week, next week is the week that I'd go 1 week injury. Yep, all right, let's just roll the dice because there's only 3 weeks left of the season. This week, there's still 4 weeks, meaning that if you get a long-term injury in a line that you don't have cover for, you could be missing 3 donuts. Essentially after this week, and it might be a little bit too far gone. I'm actually spending my trade this week. I think the writing's on the wall. I'm actually, I'm keeping him, but I've already got cover. So I've got 7 defenders. So for me, I've got the option to loop him if he's not going to perform or playing a different role or whatever it might be. So it's not going to help. I'm actually using my last trade and trading Cameron to Marshall this week. So I think that might be a better use of my trade moving forward.
Interesting. Now, the good thing is that if you have Ware as cover, they play third this week, which is much better than what GWS have been playing recently. So at least you can actually see how Ware goes. And because he did well last week, I think he got like 80 or so. Extremely good score considering. So he's one that you could actually definitely sort of play and then loophole through. I made the hard decision last week. I was going to keep Hewett for the 1 week because I was like, well, I'd rather cop 1 donut now than cop 3 donuts later. And then I was channeling my inner Abdul, and I think I got it to I think it was about a minute before the bounce. And I've just gone, you know what? Stuff it. Because I was 55th or something or other, 153rd. So I'm like, look, if I'm going to make a push, I've got to do it now. I've got cover in my forward, my mid, and my ruck line. So really, I just need to try and avoid a donut in my defense for the rest of the year. And I just risked it. And I brought in Himmelberg, who got 130. So then I was like, okay, well, even if I do cop 2 donuts later, then I could just hypothetically pretend that I had a rookie getting me a 65 for 2 weeks. So that kind of balanced out a little bit. I got extremely lucky because that was all I could afford with Himmelberg. But we should probably talk about options for this week. If you do have trades, and I mean, I say, what if you have 2 or more trades, you'd probably get rid of him this week, boys?
Oh, yeah,
Mate,
guaranteed.
I've got
At
one
this stage
trade
of
I'm
the season.
considering getting rid of him.
Yeah.
Okay, so what are the best options? Who are you liking?
Well, let's bring it up. Hold on. I'll just go to players. I mean, I think obviously the best defender is still Tom Stewart. I mean, if you've got money, I think you have to go Stewart, don't you?
Yeah, if you
you
have
don't,
money, easy.
well, and I think a lot of people who did have him probably trade him out. So you're probably going to find that you are trading him back in, but you got to try not to think of it as I wasted a trade to get him out and I wasted a trade to get him back in. That's just the wrong thinking. But I do think that 100% Stewart's the number one. I think by a long way. I'd also consider Dawson probably second. If you don't have Dawson, and a large reason for that is like even though he's dropped a couple of lower scores, both of those have been reflective of tags. He's been getting a lot more attention, and I do think that eases over the coming weeks. So he's just copped, basically back-to-back tags and still dropped relatively decent scores, and he's dropped cash. So he's now down to 563, which is slightly more than Stewart. But it's if you do have the cash, it's one or two of those guys, in my opinion.
Now, when we talk about, we'll talk about Stewart quickly. First of all, again, a lot of people don't have him, or if they did hold, they are probably weak in other lines. Now he's
down to
absolutely killing
10%,
it.
down to 10% ownership. So definitely, in that regards, a lot of people don't have him, especially.
But when we have a look, when we have a look at his scores at Geelong, so his scores in Geelong, he's gone 174, 122, 187. He's just been tailing up, and they have 3 of their last 4 games in Geelong, right?
Mhm.
So it's Western Bulldogs, St Kilda, and then West Coast, all in Geelong. So I think Stewart's definitely someone that you could have in there. Now, Dawson, again, is similarly where they play Carlton this week, but after that, Dawson plays West Coast, North Melbourne, and then Port Adelaide with the derby to finish. So I think that is an extremely favourable game, a run home that I probably would. Again, Stewart for me has to be number 1. But if you've already got Dawson, then Stewart's your man. If you've already got sort of Stewart, or you maybe you have a bit of a soft spot for Dawson, then I quite like him as well. I think they're probably your 2 strongest bets to get there if you have money and you need a little bit.
The other thing to consider, I mean, like you said, like his record at Virginia Park is just insane, right? But like what you've got to consider as well is he's a huge VC chance this weekend. Like I can see him going pretty massive. His average at Cardinia Park this year is 161. It's ridiculous, right? So VC on the Saturday night, I think is a really good option, especially considering there's not really too many obvious choices before them. So if you bring him in straight VC, and then you've got heaps of Sunday game options. You've got Took against the Eagles. You've got Neil against Richmond, who's going to absolutely destroy them. And then if you've got Zeret against the VFL North, which is basically there every week anyway.
Mate,
So
Zeret might be the biggest lockers captain
yeah,
this week.
So I think VC Stewart is going to be a real big shot. So if you are trading Stewart, or for whatever trading in Stewart for whatever reason, I know there's other guys that had planned to bring him in a different way. I know Tim Mitchell or Michelle, or I'm not sure how to pronounce that exactly, but
Michelle.
Michelle. He planned to go Cameron to Tom Stewart. So that's an option as well. So there's other ways to facilitate bringing in Tom Stewart. I think you kind of need to have him this week. So if you're unfortunately someone like Abdul, he probably doesn't. I would assume he doesn't have Stewart.
He doesn't have.
You've got to just brace for impact.
Talk about me, mate. Because I've got one trade.
Yeah, brace for impact, because this is exactly why I held on to him. So, and copped 2 donuts in the process. And you know what's funny? If I had traded Sinclair in for Stewart, which was what my original plan was, I would have gained 250 points, but I'd now be copping a donut for Hewitt. So hindsight is already working for me.
I
don't even want to talk about Dacos.
Dacos is still
talk all day.
Dacos is still 46% of teams for Dacos. So either there's a whole bunch of bots that just gave up, or I should not be in the top 120 or whatever I am, because like dumping a guy who's on an absolute heater, 115.4 the last 5 games, absolutely ridiculous. Now Himmelberg as well, 120 for the last 3, 115 for the last 5. But again, he's more expensive than Stewart and Dawson. I'd probably prefer those other 2 over Himmelberg. The other one as well I want to touch on is Bailey Dale. Now he's more similarly priced. I think he's only about $8,000 more. I know a few people sort of jumping on him.
4,000 more.
It's only 4,000. I thought Hewitt was 532.
No, Hewitt's 536.
Okay, so 4,000 more. So he seems to be a very popular option. My only concern is, I like Bailey Dale. He did get tagged, I think, the other week, which was pretty shit. But I am a little concerned with Caleb Daniel possibly coming back in this week for the last sort of few rounds, as to what that might do for the ceiling that he has kind of shown for quite a few of the last sort of 5 rounds. Is that the best option around that price, though, boys? If you can't afford really much to go up,
I'd probably nearly say Vlosten's a better thing, just because, as you said, Caleb coming back in, and Richmond are seeming to go through Vlosten all the time in the back line at the moment. So what's his last few? This is Vlosten since the Port game: 96, 120, 130, 82, 141, 118. Like, the guy's on an absolute heater at the moment. So if you've got the little bit of money but don't have enough to go to Stewart, as you said, Stewart's the number one option. But if you've got, say, 10K to get up to the Vlosten, I'd probably go him over Bailey. Just if Caleb Daniel wasn't coming up, then Bailey Dale for sure. The bigger issue, if people don't have the money and they have to go down, because
that's the issue.
That's the real issue, because Daniel Rich is a little bit cheaper, but then he's out, so that's gone. You probably only couple are maybe Tom Atkins is absolutely flying at the moment.
Guys, we know the answer, and it's staring you right in the face. It's Luke Ryan, isn't it? Has to be.
Well, is it Aaron Hall?
No, it's definitely not. Don't do that to us. Don't, again, we said this earlier in the year. Don't make another issue with your current issue, right?
I think the COVID issue as well kind of puts a huge question mark on top of an already big question mark. After you go through, like, probably Sard, maybe, I guess Williams might come back, so that could impact him a little bit, but Sard's on a little bit of a heater, a little bit inconsistent, so that's kind of what you get. Luke Ryan, again, a little bit inconsistent. They have a few.
So good the other day.
Well, yeah, but they also have a few rounds coming up. Caleb Daniel could be back in the side, but again, not averaging well enough. Lloyd's up and down, so it does really get sketchy. Houston's also missing this week, concussion, so that's going to hurt a lot of owners for him. And it really drops out. I mean, Witherden's still there, Chris. He played on the weekend, got a 69.
Don't even talk to me about
outside of
The other
that,
one I want
there's
to touch
nothing.
on is Jack Sinclair, obviously. But I've got a feeling that he's not going to get the freedom that he has the last few weeks over the next three. So he's got Hawks, who like to put a forward tag on a defensive player, and then Geelong, then Brizzy, and then Sydney, who obviously also
Clark.
like to tag those running defenders. So at 606K, I'm not sure he's the one you want when there's
Yeah,
someone
you've
like a
missed
Tom
out if
Stewart
you don't
50K
have him.
cheaper. Yeah, so I wouldn't necessarily be going that way. Just
Yeah.
I think it's fraught with danger to be paying that much for a guy that's got some hard matchups and some potential tags coming up.
I'm trying to work out
my
when
decisions around: do I spend my last 14K, go up to Vlosten, keep my all four position loophole going, where I can move Himmelberg back, or I can move Cameron into the ruck, and I've got loopholes happening everywhere. Or I get rid of my defensive loophole, Himmelberg stays back, and I bring in Maxi Gorn, because Gorn's 14K more expensive than Hewitt. And that is very tempting for the run home to have Gorney.
Well, Melbourne need to win, but have you seen their run?
Yeah, but the run doesn't affect your ruckman.
Yeah, that's true.
That's the one position it doesn't. And a couple of those ruck contests that he has are pretty weak. The only problem is Grundy coming back. Grundy versus Gorn. Well,
but traditionally
traditionally,
yeah, that they've
they
both generally scored well against each other. Yeah, exactly right.
Do whatever.
They typically don't go defensive against each other. They just try and get the offensive hit out to advantage. It's honestly generally a good thing to watch. But I definitely think Grundy is back this week, and I mean that's an option, by the way. Have you thought of Grundy coming in? What's his price?
I'd probably prefer Gorn than Grundy if I had the choice.
Ooh.
You know what I hate the most?
Please, mate.
No. Sorry, I'm still caught up in the past here about reflecting about what could have been. Now, what I hate the most is Sinclair was averaging 107 and dropped down to 520,000. And we're like, oh, Steele's out, so he's probably a good move to get a little bit of a bump on the midfield run. And he's averaged 121 since then, since I considered to bring him in, but did
and
not.
that week he only got like a 72. So he's like,
No. So no, he from round 10, he got a 138, 140, 118, 105, got tagged on a 79 for Sydney.
Yeah.
And then went 150, 110.
Don't you listen to this
133,
podcast,
117. Mate, I should have done it. I think I went somewhere else and got like a Parker or someone who has been serviceable. But I was like, oh no, it's going to mess up my buy structure, so I just didn't do it.
I should have bring him in round 12, which is when I bring in Doherty, I think. Or someone else with a round 12 buy is what I did.
Outside of having Stewart for about 5 minutes, I tell you what, my trades have been on point since the buy period.
Yeah, you've had a huge run home.
Yeah,
I've literally been in the opposite since I went through my trades history the other day, and I just went, man, I have some big wins. Like I got Parker in early before his 150. I traded out Canelio with his 27, and then traded him in for his 150, and then his one. What was his big score this year? 180 or something like that. Like I had him back for that. But then there's just been and Cameron, so a big win there as well. Bont, I got in at the right time. It looks like
so that's my main six. I've had Dawson, Sinclair, Merritt, Bont, Cameron, and Himmelberg.
Yeah, my big issue is definitely defense.
Yeah.
It's Doherty has been up. He's been like this. Yeah, he's been all right. It hasn't been terrible, but it's mainly been with
the weekend. He just butchered the ball, Doherty.
Yeah. So Witherden's obviously my biggest one because I paid $570 for them the week that I could have got Tom Stewart, who went 180 that week. And the thing is, like, if you had a look at it was like round 6 for 5 weeks previous, the Witherden had gone like 99, 105, 120, 130, 150, and was just going to the moon. And Stewart had gone like 95, 98, 103.
Yeah,
like
Stewart's break even was about 110.
Yeah, and I was like, well,
game.
Why would I bring in Stewart when he's going average when I could get Witherden who's going to the moon for the same price?
Yeah.
And bad.
I think I did the same. I think I went Doherty instead of Stewart.
The same price in 3 weeks' time, and that. So she didn't. She went Witherden as well. And then
obviously trading Dacos to Stewart, another one. That didn't help. But
Uh,
I mean, look, yeah, he still got 160 the week that I got him, so I can't
See
really complain.
where I fell down was because I got so many of the good rookies and so many of the good mid prices that in previous years you kind of look for value, whereas I was like I shouldn't be going for
I've
value
got the value. Yeah,
because I'm so loaded up. So I was paying max price for Doherty at 118
yeah, me
average.
too.
Do
Yeah,
you know what I mean? All that kind of stuff. Whereas I should have just gone for the value on your Merritts, on your Sinclairs, on your Dawsons, who have just gone absolutely toweling.
the only play
The
that worked
merit
for me
one,
this
mate.
year was
Yeah.
Laird. So I paid
Yeah.
620 for Laird in like the third round he was playing because obviously he was out earlier in the season, and he's been potentially the best pick of the year, and he's still super unique and just gone
Mm.
crazy.
Shout out to
Um,
Ben who has not got in led, even though he's an Adelaide supporter.
yeah.
Mhm.
So that's worked for me in one occasion, but Sinclair, Miss Dawson, and missed Sicily. And I think if I had those three players, I'd be top 100. So
Is Chris disappearing on screen?
He is. He's
Is
shrinking by
he?
the moment.
Are you
It's
bouncing your
great.
camera? Like, what's going on, mate?
Uh,
You're literally starting. Your forehead's disappearing,
no,
mate.
sorry guys.
Well, while
Gotta
we're
give
on
Okay.
people what they
trade-ins,
want.
can I just go a bit left field because I know a lot of people are playing their draft sort of finals and stuff like that. Um, one for your standard leagues, even a little bit for keeper, but it's a bit harder to bring a whole lot of people in for keeper. If you have, there's a few Essendon players still flying around. You like your Snellings and stuff like that, possibly. With the Underman North, jump on them, but also try to see if you can sneak a couple North players who have been, on the fringes. And bring them in this week because they might pick up a little bit more time than they normally would. So they're two good places to go for your draft. And then also your keepers. I know I got Wing Hagen in two leagues this morning. So there's a few good rookie keepers because people have been trying to win their league matches and been dropping these guys. So yeah, I know I messaged our group chat today, and a few people went searching for some of these good young players that have just managed to find themselves on the waiver.
Yeah, well, actually, speaking of, I've just jumped on draft now. Me and Ben are facing off in the preliminary final for our main draft league this week. So
I got all the oldies. It's the oldies versus the whatever it is. We might have to
After,
show everyone the
yeah,
team.
Benny Boy beat me in the Supercoach and
Oh,
Superkeeper
and I
league
had
this week.
some real bad.
Oh.
Let's talk about this, Wiz, because I had
It was
Fife get injured
bullshit.
in a few things, but then I had my key part of my keeper league. So I had Neil, I had Took, I had Bontempelli, I had Max Gorn, like absolutely go huge. I'm looking good. And then I had these random ones like Barras and Hawkins just go absolutely monstered. And here I was like, yes, I'm actually ahead. And then Swizz gets Tim Kelly for 11 super coach points.
Shout out! I think it's my good mate Lukey
Oh.
had in our cricket club keeper league. I think he needed 37 to win in the last game, and had Tim Kelly.
Oh, that's
Just
harsh. Now,
brutal.
shout
is
out to
Josh Kelly
the
back this week? By the way, guys, is that what we're?
he
'cause
should
gonna,
be.
I might,
Abdul,
I
you'd
might need him
hope
to
so,
win the
'cause
league this week.
I did
Abdul's
hear
done
Jelly is
off
back.
number one spot if Kelly doesn't come back. I think he's struggling anyway with Hewett out.
Oh yeah, no trades either.
Yeah.
That's gonna hurt a little bit.
He's
Oh,
getting
Hewitt's out. Wow, that hurts
Yeah.
me.
That's what we've been talking about for the last 15 minutes. Oh shit!
No,
Hewitt's
I
out.
just
No, he's
I just
he's
realized that
thinking
I
about
had
his
Hewitt
draft
in my
team.
draft team.
He's thinking about his draft team. Can I just say, shout out as well to Dr. Supercoach. So I'm in their league. So I'm in their Div 2. I got kicked out of their Div 1 league last year because I was horrible. I think I picked Cripps and a whole bunch of other people last year, which did not work out very well at all, as you would figure. Now, I'm coming back into Div 1, boys. So Dr. Supercoach back into Div 1. I posted it up saying, right, I'm in the top 4, so I'm going through back to Div 1. And then literally someone says straight away, no, not the waiver snipers, stay away. I already have a history of hitting those waiver wires, boys. I'm coming back.
Nice. Well, yeah, I brought in Ed Richards and John Newcomb this week. So what's John Newcomb's 3-round average? Like 106?
Interesting.
I believe 3-round
Keep
average
an eye on
95.
keep an eye on these waiver wires during finals, because if someone has a good bench player and they might clear their bench, and you can easily pick up a really good player, or even in keeper leagues.
Like I was hoping you would do to get Aaron Hall score.
No, as in if I would do it this week though. If I had to get into the grand final, I would do it. So I'd drop a
come on, mate, you
Rankin.
need
I'd
Aaron
drop.
Hall score and that.
I would
Just-
drop a
just start
Rankin. I would do
offloading
whatever.
Rankin and Taylor Adams.
No, I would do whatever I had to do, boys. Now,
No, but
Actually-
now can we give a bigger shout out here? We're our A team league, which is in third spot overall. Let's just talk about the person who finished on top.
Is that me?
Me.
No, that was Swizz.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck off.
Oh, wait,
How did you finish
You were
on top?
6, Benny.
Did I really get?
I dropped
got
out of the
pushed to
finals,
6th.
boys.
Yeah.
Did I
I
get
dr-
pushed to 6th?
Yeah, Chris
I
isn't
dropped
even in
out.
finals.
Emily
yes.
beat you, right?
No, yeah, dude. By the way, Supercoach Mama, I do think she's a regular listener. I love you, but
love
I'll
you,
have a
Emily.
go with you with this
You just said
because
you can't
she
afford your
directly
mortgage.
messages
That's
me
the
in the
most.
chat and just goes, "Hey, are you keeping Hewitt or trading him?" Because she wanted to win.
No.
She won by like 30 points because I didn't
Oh,
trade Hewitt and
no.
cop the donut. So
Was
I
it a
knew
late
what you were
trade
asking,
too?
but I didn't. What?
She did a late trade. The old
Yeah, I
sneaker.
didn't mind that she did. Like we didn't have an agreement or anything like that. I was copying the donut regardless. It wasn't worth it to me. So yeah, it's fine. Whatever it is.
Yeah, no, I end up
Ouch.
finishing higher than the Phantom on percentage because we did percentage, not rankings, but I don't think it made a difference. And then, yeah, Benny, you dropped back down to 6. Actually, I wonder, you probably would have finished 5th, but it makes no difference. You're still not top 4.
No, it makes no difference. But keep an eye on the waiver wires, and I'm gonna let a little monkey out of the bag here, boys. I'm not sure why I'm gonna do this, considering you're both in the keeper league. But for instance, in our keeper league, right?
I'm out of the
Let me
finals
get
of that.
it
I
up
think
quickly.
I dropped out of the finals.
Who am I trading
Recently
with?
released, Lukosius got dropped, right? Bruin got dropped, and they're two huge possible cash, as in someone that people would pay money for them at some point, possibly. Now, Stevenson's on that list as well. DeConing as well. People might pay a bit of money for DeConing
Yeah,
if
I
they're
dropped
into Geelong.
Lukosius, mate.
I know you did.
I dropped
I know you did.
Lukosius and
And
Bruin.
it's because he's playing forward, so he's not really that relevant
because
at
I
this
had to
current
get
point in
these
time.
other rookies in that were just sitting there doing.
Hey, mate, Taylor Bruin is,
Mate,
if
Taylor
he
Bruin
goes to
I'm
Geelong,
I've got shares of in other leagues, but
he
Dylan
goes to Geelong.
Dylan Stevens and Winghagen were both sitting there, and I couldn't say no.
Yeah, they're all shit.
Yeah, I lost to Grimo last week in the keeper league because I had the vice captain on Guthrie who got me a solid 83, and the captain on Andrew Brayshaw who got me a solid 79. So thanks, lads, for really showing up when you really needed to. That was really great of you. And of course, Ryder got injured, and I was like, oh, I'll just bring Grundy in because I've had him on my pine all year. And of course, he didn't get named. So I was like, oh, I could either bring in a shitty ruck or just loop one of my guys on my bench. So I had Witherden on my bench who got 69. Thanks, mate. You really made me proud.
While we're doing shout outs, the Richmond Keeper League had their grand final on the weekend, and that's a shout out to Swizz for winning that.
You know what, Swizz? I've got to say,
Swizz is really what I'm here
good
for.
battle from Robert, and I forgot they don't do emergency bench scores, so I had a donut and still won. So,
can I say, Swizz? Now, number one, when you interviewed Abdul, your presentation skills have actually jumped up a notch, mate. So really well done. And number two, look at you going and throwing a bit of fucking banter and a bit of sly out there, a bit of shade.
I like
it.
He's up to his game. He's up to his game. He's feeling comfortable now. He's feeling
Before you know it, he'll be owning Brisbane in finals just like Richmond.
Mate, I saw how it was done on Saturday night. I was shout out to Paddy for his 50th, who's he's coached an AFLW game. He was the COVID relief for Del Santo for the Saints. So we had all the Parkfield boys there, but we did have the Box Hill VFLW and the St Kilda AFLW players down there. And I tell you what, those girls do not lack confidence. So I think that's just, I've taken that on board, and you just go in and you've got to let people know that when you're flying, you're flying. So
hey, Swizz, do you know why Del Santo's on the women's league?
Oh, I'm not going to even go there.
Okay, maybe let's not do that.
Let's not and say that we did.
Let's not.
Now, is there any other Supercoach relevant information released? I don't think there is, really.
Captains and VCs, I think.
I've already gone through my my direct option.
For those that don't have Merit and
Stuart,
let's
talking
because you're kind of narrowing that little pigeonhole there, boys.
They're not worth talking about.
No,
obviously Laird's the other one. So if you're not going to go the VC Stuart, I think Laird on the Saturday night is the next most obvious.
Yeah.
Interesting.
The only problem is, what happens if you're in this stupid position? Actually, no, it's all right, because I was thinking if you didn't have a loophole option, but the Richmond players are playing on Sunday, so I know a few people have got those guys. When's Teagle's shit game, second game. There's a lot of people rely on him, but hopefully.
Oh, mate, I've got 17 loopholes
Yeah, I
in
know.
my
So
bench.
some
so-
people do, some people surprisingly don't. They might only have like Collingwood and Port Adelaide
Well,
loopholes.
there's
No, they're
also talk
popular.
that Teakle might be right to start getting up and playing. So let's fingers crossed he's playing towards the end of the year and
Well,
provides us
fingers
with
crossed
some
Goldie
bench cover.
plays, and I don't have any stress there. But
Yeah, that's
Boys,
true.
I'm thinking about going Took into Lockie Neal, to be honest. Took playing against West Coast, you should know within 2 hours and 10 minutes as to whether Took's going to be a good C option. And then from there, Lockie Neal against Richmond. I think Richmond don't really play a defensive sort of mid style. So Lockie Neal usually racks up.
time.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So I think that's probably the strongest option this week because, Took against West Coast in round 1 went absolutely huge. So I'm kind of probably looking at that
I was at
on
that
the run
game.
home.
Was it 2 years ago, 3 years ago when Lockie Neal went 190? Just had brought
Yeah.
his own ball that day. Like, yeah. Outside of like Brayshaw last week, most midfielders go really well against us. But I think this is actually the kind of game we win. So you might be in a bit of trouble this week,
Backs
Benny.
against the wall.
Yeah, all the heat on us and that. And Brisbane hate the G.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, one thing's bankable, guys, and that's that Collingwood will win by under 10 points.
Yeah.
So I've ordered I've ordered up some heart medication just in case because they're killing me, man. I am tired. I can't. I can keep watching.
At least
them.
you're getting the win,
get
so
up. I think
your
Port get
heart
up.
rate. Where my heart rate's going up, and then I'm just angry after the game. Like, I want to fight people.
I honestly, I do. I am audible. You guys would know at the football, and very much even when I'm watching football. But I don't think I've ever been that loud, and I'm screaming, I'm jumping up and down, and the kids are like, later that night, we're having dinner, and Eliza came home, my partner. The kids are like, yeah, Chris was very loud this afternoon. So they were complaining about how loud.
Let's put this into context. Now, number one, Chris went to, I think was it an engagement party one time, and to put it into context, I think was it a preliminary final? So the first one against
that was actually the qualifying final, but
was it against West Coast? It was
yeah.
Yeah. So and Chris was very loud, very animated because the game was on while there was something, an engagement party.
I was told there was a bunch of Collingwood supporters at the place, which is why it was on in the first place.
Correct.
And I would be with my brethren. So,
Except everyone else is quite reserved and considerate. Chris is being how Chris is normally, very animated and energetic.
But with free alcohol as well.
Yeah, correct. But I'm just explaining this is how Chris is in general. Now, this kind of took, I think it was like some of the grandparents or the parents were a bit like, oh, Chris is being a bit of a dick. But that's how Chris is with the football. It's like, hey, don't plan an engagement party around a Collingwood game. If I knew that's how you're going to behave, I would have just stayed at home and been loud. Now, this is the point where if Chris watches a final, he kind of has to even put a little pigeon slip in the letterbox to the neighbours saying, hey, by the way, there's a Collingwood game on Saturday night. If you hear some screaming, it's just me kind of going off because it's a very big game. Now, that's the context on Chris live at watching TV or even being live. I actually felt really embarrassed at the Gabba. Chris is in the members section, fucking giving it to them. And I'm like, mate, you're in the members. You got to wear a collar. You got to wear button up and all the rest of it. And Chris is sitting there.
And I can't watch
my teeth out.
Oh, mate, yeah, teeth out, just abusing people. That's right, he's been doing it all day. Fuck you. I'm like, Jesus, mate.
Favorite call is he's been doing it all day. 2 minutes into the game.
Mate,
it's my favorite call.
I've done it on the first bounce before. Just fucking umpire does a bad bounce, first bounce of the day. You've been doing it all day, Chip.
He's thrown a champion there as well.
Oh, champed him.
Oh, what a great day. What a great
That's great. No,
mate,
mate, I'm just bad. Like, Grimo had to move for me from a practice match, Richmond and North Melbourne.
Were North winning?
No. I lost my shit at a practice match. That was a highlight.
Good times.
And there was one where my mates still love this one, where security were going to come and drag me out because I was absolutely abusing this blonde woman, short blonde woman, older woman, about 2 bays across from me, giving it to her. It was on halftime, Richmond Essendon, and these guys were like screwy, about to tap me on the shoulder. My best mate's like, "No, mate, that's his mother-in-law. You can't chuck him out for abusing her." They went over and she confirmed that, yes, I am her son-in-law. So it's all good.
Well, I had two older ladies when I went to see the Carlton Collingwood game earlier in the year. We were in the Carlton draft room and had like that seated area out the front of that in the members, and then on the left, so like I was situated, like no one wanted to sit next to me, so I was like right on the end, of course. So at least only one person had to sit next to me, and on the left of me it was like the Carlton Bay, and there were these two older ladies sitting. I felt so sorry for them. But at one stage, I had to let them know, no, it wasn't holding the ball. I went on to explain the rules to them. So.
You know what? One of my
elders, you know,
shout out to my in-laws as well, mate, because I had them on my train to Collingwood Essendon on the weekend. I was taking all the bloody ferals to the game on Sunday. So that was
one of my favorite comments is, "Do you even know the game?" Like a mate of mine, Neil, we'd be watching it, and then something would happen, and if someone blatantly makes a wrong comment where they kind of don't realize how dumb their comment was, so I'm just like, do you even know the game? Like, it's so good,
mate. Did I tell the story about the parole officer one? Or should I leave that one alone with the
parole officer? Like are you talking about every former Collingwood player, or we should say St Kilda player that's running drugs across the borders?
We've got a group chat and they've renamed it Tell Your Parole Officer. What happened? Richmond, Port Adelaide. Had this guy behind me all day, just chirping about the friggin' umpires. And I'd been sitting behind my mate so we could sort of interact with each other instead of trying to sit down a whole row. I can talk to him. So I get up and take a leak at quarter time. Got my bag there. This guy moves my bag and sits like on my spot there. My mate's like, "What are you doing?"
Spot.
So just, that's my spot. But there, so he rocks up with all his mates. He's been chirping all game, and I finally had enough. I've cracked the shits halfway through the last quarter, and I've just turned to him like, "Mate, you've been chirping all friggin' day. You've got no idea about the rules. Stop! I'm sick of your sooking. Can you just go home and tell your parole officer? Because I'm done with it." His mate comes on and starts pointing at me like, "You can't say that, you can't say that." I'm like, "Mate, clearly because you're whinging about it, you've probably got a parole officer as well." And that. And then, so he's turned around and he's like, "Oh, well, why don't you go and tell your wife about it?" And I'm like, "Well, at least I've got one." And he's put his arm around this woman's like, "Oh, no, well, here's mine." And I've turned to my mate. They didn't hear this part. Luckily, I'm like, "Prostitutes don't count." My mate think they might have heard that because they were waiting for me at the end of the bay for 15 minutes after the game. So yeah, that was a highlight. That's me at the footy.
You just kept going. Oh, we're from Tiger.
Chris would have done that. Chris would have done that 5 minutes in off a whiff of spirits. Whereas at least I can imagine you'd take a bit.
Tell your parole officers, my good one with Port Adelaide supporters now.
Fair enough.
I don't think I have any cool stories like that, boys, because I don't generally get that angry.
You're too tame, Benny. You're a good
I don't get that angry.
He's changed. He used to be different.
I'll tell you this is number
Dad
one.
Ben's a different cat.
Yeah.
No, I'm pretty chill. I don't get too angry. I call out a few things here and there, but generally I'll kind of pull my head in straight after, right? So I'm quite reserved. Now, there's only a couple of things that actually get me angry, right? Number one, I'm very protective of my mum who's deaf, right? So if someone does something to my mum, like I fucking lose my shit. And I'm fine. Like I'm really quite calm and collected. Whereas one time I was filling up petrol, right? So we're there at the servo. I've gone into like pay for my mum and some lady starts abusing her like you're going to fucking move your car, like basically waiting behind her. And I walk out and this lady's abusing my mum. So my mum's been deaf since she was 2 years old, right? And she doesn't know what's going around her most of the time. So I don't know, like I'm really calm. I'm not aggressive, but I get really protective of her or people treating her like shit. And I fucking lose it right in front of my mum. I was like, "Who the fuck do you think you are? Get the fuck out of my," and I was like really like getting quite adamant. And I'm not like that at all. And my mum's like, "No, calm down." I was like, "No, fuck you. Who are you having a go at a deaf lady?" Literally, I just went off. And then even to the point where I'm shopping, right? And now I start being a professional and I'm shopping and mum's there and some lady's got like a double pram. We're talking about one of those double ones because obviously she likes to take double digits, right? And this lady cuts off the double pram, right? She's And a little bit of subtle innuendo. No,
People are gonna have to skip the rest of this.
I was actually.
no,
You go on. You tell
This is real quick. This is real quick. So she's got like a double pram, and then my mum's just walking in a nice straight line, and she's gone to change directions. Right? She's cut my mum off, and then starts abusing her because she was in her way. Right? Anyway, so this lady cuts off my mum, starts abusing her. My mum, being deaf, just walks away. Right? My mum just walks away. I'm about 3 meters behind her, seeing all this happen. And I just subtly, as I walk past her, I was like, go fuck yourself. And she's like, excuse me? I was like, you heard me. Fuck off. And she was like, whoa. I walk up to my mum. I was like, that lady was a bitch, right? That's sign language for bitch. I was like, she's a bitch. And my mum's just
We're
like,
inclusive here. None of our viewers left
Mate.
behind.
Anyway, so at this point in time, my mom's just like, it's okay. Like, I ignore her. Like, if people say shit, she just walks away and ignores them. And that's the only time that's me being upset or aggressive.
We're
Otherwise,
gonna have to put a
chill.
language warning on here. Thanks, Benny.
Yeah, sorry, mate. Sorry, I
To our fans-
apologize.
To our fans who are still with us at this point in the podcast, do you want to either tweet us or message us your best angry story at the footy? It might
What
not even
triggers
have to be
you?
yourself or whatever, but that's definitely one for the
I love it.
chat lines with our fans out there. I think there'll be some beauties.
What triggers you? I think the other thing that triggers me at a footy game is a kid kicking the back of my chair. I'm like, come on, mate. Hey, parents, are you seeing this? There's kids kicking the back of my chair. Please have a look.
I'm a kid too, damn it. Take a job. All right. I don't think there's anything else to go on, guys. So we're all good with the VCs and Cs?
Yeah, I think so. If you don't, just keep shouting us. There was a couple of people I know that thanked me because of they had important league matches and we were sort of making some decisions on the fly. So I think Steve, I forget who the other person was, but it was good chatting to them over the weekend. If I don't reply straight away, it's probably because I'm driving my train and I've got to wait until I'm swapping over at Flinders Street, sometimes on the weekend. But I'm pretty sure on a Saturday, talk to the boys on Saturday. I've got a big cricket game, so if I'm not responding, that's the reason. But no, we like the interaction and the messages. So keep
Shout out to everyone that avoided my Mills gut feel VC. Laird was 100% the right way to go.
Literally my last second, because everyone's like, oh, but you had Mills, is like, yeah, I swapped like with a minute before the game. I was like, you know what, going Laird.
Yeah, that was a smart play. I don't know why. I think I convinced myself my gut feel was real.
I'll go Mills now.
Oh, no, lost. I think it was about 17 points or so. Anyway, that's it from us. That's a nice little half relevant, half Chris getting stuff off his chest and half shit show. That's it.
I think it was a decent pod.
Good passion. Good passion. That's what we want.
All right, guys. Well, it was good chatting to you guys again as normal, but I will try and do my team pod again this week and we'll go from there.
I think we're going to do mine tomorrow because last week I was going to talk about how great I was, and then Thursday came and Hewett was out, so it kind of ruined how great I was.
We'll talk about how great, mate. Benny, you're flying. I was so pumped. I was like, yes, Ben's dropping down to about 200. I'm going to get to up for 300th, and then friggin', Saturday night, Sunday happened. And
one minute before the bounce, I went and just did it. I was at Manly Markets, and I was like, you know what, fuck it, bang. Hit that trade button, Himmelberg in for Hewitt. Yeah, and now it looks great because I could have held that easily and lost rank and then been behind 130 points. So that's it from us. Stay tuned. Chris, you are doing a team reveal this week?
Yes, I will be. Yep. I'll probably will wait till Thursday because it'll rely on Grundy come in pretty much. Will dictate what I'm going to be doing. But yeah, it'll be up this week.
Nice.
Sounds good.
Same with me. Teams. As always, teams come out and I crap on about the teams quickly. They're relevant ins and outs.
Well, I've got 0 trades, so I'll just do mine tomorrow then because I can't really change for team. So, all right.
Now, here's my team for the rest of the year.
Yeah, pretty much. And yes, that's it for us. We'll talk to you soon and we'll catch you next time.
See you guys.
Alrighty, bye.